श्रीभगवानुवाच काम्यानां कर्मणां न्यासं सन्न्यासं कवयो विदुः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं प्राहुस्त्यागं विचक्षणाः.
Shri Bhagavan Krishna answers. And throughout the Gita, Krishna has been so patient, so understanding, so considerate towards not just Arjuna, but all of us. And therefore it is that through the centuries, generation after generation of Indians, not just Indians, people throughout the world, seekers of truth, have found meaning, have found their answers in Krishna's message. So he says, sages know sannyasa as renunciation of desire-driven actions. The wise call abandonment of fruit of all actions as tyaga. So, first of all, the use of the two words, he says, kavayaha, sages, and the wise, vichakshanaha. Who's saying this? Krishna is saying this, who is an avatara purusha, person of immense wisdom, who was realized at birth. He is referring to the sages of the past. He is referring to the wise of the past. So what he is doing is, he is using the fourth way of transacting knowledge. There are four ways of gaining knowledge. One is pratyaksha. Pratyaksha is to see for yourself, with your senses. Like we say, in English also you say, seeing is believing. But you can't use this in the spiritual field, so because you can't see God, you can't smell God, you can't taste God, you can't use your senses. The second is anumana. Anumana is inference. When inference means when you see smoke, you infer there is fire. You don't have to actually see the fire. Similarly, you are able to extrapolate. You see things in the world. You see this wonderful universe. The other day I happened to be with an amateur astronomer who took us to a fancy telescope that he had up there on the terrace, and he showed us Venus. He showed us the moon. And he says, in a small area that is about the size of a 50 paisa coin, he says, through that you can see 8 galaxies. You don't understand what a galaxy is, but one galaxy, each of the 8 galaxies consist of 1 billion stars. This magnificent universe, when you see, you say, who's put this all in place? And who's put this wonderful solar system of ours in place, where the earth is the right distance away from the sun, where there is water, there is oxygen, there is everything. It's as if the whole universe was designed just so that you and I may live, may prosper, may enjoy the world. And yet in this world, with all this billions and billions of stars and galaxies in place, just so that you and I can enjoy life, you sit there complaining, cribbing. It's just a lack of vision. So therefore, anuman, infer. You see this world and you infer a transcendental. Upaman. Upama is comparison. You yourself have experienced the dream state of consciousness, where everything appears so real. And I'm sure every one of us has dreamt something equivalent to this, where someone is chasing you and you're running faster and faster to escape. But somehow the person who's chasing you, you don't know who's chasing you, you don't know why you're being chased, but you only know that you're running. And suddenly you trip, you're so afraid that your tormentor is going to catch up with you. You trip, you fall down, and what happens? What happens? You wake up. And when you wake up in a sweat, but you say, my God, it all seems so real. And it's just an illusion. It's just a projection. Similarly, the sages tell us, you will experience the same thing when you wake up from the torment of the waking state to the fourth plane of consciousness, upama. And the last is agama. Agama is tradition. In this country, we are lucky to have the most magnificent tradition, the spiritual tradition, the Guru Shishya Parampara, where generation after generation, great enlightened souls have appeared on the scene and have showed us the way. Whether we have followed the path or not is a different matter. But the way has been shown to us. And that is what this Rasool Pukuti was talking about. Imagine going to the Oscars. You see all the other people, what's his name? Danny Boyle started jumping in front of the mic. So when you take it personally, you lose your balance. And suddenly, here was a man who suddenly got up and in his acceptance speech said, I belong to this magnificent culture that gave the world the concept of Om, and beyond that, the silence that precedes the Om and the silence that pervades after the Om. To that magnificent culture and country of mine, I dedicate whatever I do. If we can go home today with this concept, Agama tradition, which Krishna is referring to, which means it's a complete dissolution of the ego. When you don't arrogate anything to yourself, you say, this is the tradition, my friend. This has come down through the ages, through centuries, through yugas, not just centuries. And I'm just doing my little bit. I'm playing my role in the scheme of things. So, that's the thing that Krishna says. 4 ways to gain knowledge. What is he saying? The distinction between sannyasa and tyaga is, sannyasa is, now what you need to understand is, both sannyasa and tyaga are understood by us as giving up. And that is why people don't come anywhere near Bhaidas auditorium for these 5 days. Say, who wants to give? I don't want to give up anything. There's a lady who came to me and said, my husband has just started attending your lectures. I'm afraid he'll give up. Give up what? Yes, it is about giving up. But giving up what is the question? It is not about giving up the wife and family. Where will he go? He's tied to you anyway. Wherever he goes, he'll come back to you. He's like a mule who's tied to the owner. It's not about giving up the good things of life. Krishna himself says in the 11th chapter, Tasmat tvamuttishta yasho labhasva. Therefore, Arjuna means all of us, he's telling. Uttishta, get up and enjoy this vast kingdom, the world. It's meant for you to enjoy. So he's not depriving you of the world. And anyway, where will you go? Wherever you go, it's still part of the world. No? So you can't give up the world. You can't give up your family. What are you supposed? You can't give up action, because in the 3rd chapter of the Gita, he says, action is fundamental to life. Stop acting and you die. Both sannyasa and tyaga are concepts where you continue to act. Then what do you give up is the question. In sannyasa, you give up desire-driven actions. Kamyanam, karmanam nyasam. So, you act, you drop the desire. Why must you give up the desire to act? Because it comes in the way of action. So, you must understand what happens, Kamyanam karma is what Roger Federer went through in the Australian Open final. The desire to win was so strong that while acting, understand one thing, unless you have a desire, you will not act. So when he says give up desire, you're confused. You say, if I give up desire, the action will stop. Like if Roger Federer did not want to win the Australian Open, he wouldn't have gone and played there. So what is he talking about? before you act, you must have a desire, you must have a clear goal. He himself says you must fix a higher ideal. So the desire is there. But while acting, if you're obsessed with it, like Roger Federer obviously was, I must win, must win, must win, must win. So while acting, instead of your mind being behind the present action, your mind is obsessed with the desire. And so therefore, the action, the mind gets agitated, the intellect gets confused, the action is flawed, and you fail in life. So what is he saying here? He says, steer clear from desire-ridden activities. Then what must you do? Niyatam karma. Perform your obligations. When you give up desire-ridden activities, and this is a shift in lane, you should shift lanes, for which you must understand that there are three kinds of actions that you and I can perform. Number one, niyatam karma. Niyatam karma means obligatory action. Every one of us is living in a certain set of circumstances. We've had a certain past, and therefore all of this together puts certain obligations on us. We have obligations to our family members, we have obligations to the society that we live in, we have obligations to our community members, we have obligations to the nation, we have obligations to humanity, the environment, so on and so forth. Finally, you have an obligation to yourself. And that obligation to yourself is to somehow or the other, as Swami Ramatirtha said, remain cheerful in life. So, niyatam karma has got thrown overboard, and what has taken its place is kamya karma. That is what he's objecting to. Because you might say, why shouldn't I have a desire? For the simple reason that kamya karma, when you are beset with a desire, when you're obsessed with a desire, you will not obtain the object of desire. The way to gain the object of desire is to rise above desire. The moment you rise above desire, what happens? Object of desire comes to you. Unsought, unsolicited, unasked for. And that's the only way to gain the world and to enjoy it, friends. If you have to struggle to earn enough money and save so that you can go on a vacation, and then you struggle to get a visa and a flight booking and this, that and the other, by the time you reach the vacation spot, you're in no condition to enjoy it. The way to do is effortlessly. Like last night, there's a gentleman who worked very hard. He didn't even in his wildest dreams think that he would get a vacation to Hawaii. This is a true story. And last night, he and his wife took off on a flight to Hawaii. This was a reward for his hard work. So the air ticket is paid for, business class is gone. The holiday there is paid for. Even the US visa charges, effortlessly they got the American visa. Otherwise, if you decide to go on a holiday, you have to struggle. First time rejected, second time documents were not all right, third time, by the time you get the US visa, you feel like saying, please keep it, I don't want it. That's how it happens. So they're going to enjoy themselves and come back, not a penny spent, no desire to go to Hawaii. In fact, the wife didn't even want to go. Then the husband said, listen, I've got 2 tickets for self and companion. So if you don't come, I'll find myself a companion. That's how she went. She didn't even want to go. That's the way to live life, friends. So drop the desire, enjoy the world. Second thing you've learned. What is the first thing you learned? Heaven, how to make heaven out of the life. The second thing is, whatever you have. Now this doesn't mean you have to go looking for freebies, please. Don't misunderstand. We have a tendency of misunderstanding everything. So don't say from now on, I've learned one message from the Gita. Don't pay for anything. Enjoy free. That's what we are doing anyway. Kamya karma. Now once the desire is bound to such an extent that your desire can no longer be fulfilled by ethical, moral legal methods, you cross the line. If you want to know how to do that, ask Mr. Raju. You cross the line into Nishiddha Karma, prohibited action. Prohibited by whom? We're not talking about society. We're not talking about the legal system. Prohibited by your own conscience. And God help you if you violate your own conscience, because that conscience will not allow you to rest in peace, to sleep in peace, to eat in peace, to do anything in peace. You've lost your peace of mind. So, 3 kinds of actions are Niyatam Karma, Kamya Karma, and Nishiddha Karma. Nishiddha Karma, of course, you must never perform however deluded you are. Kamya Karma, watch out for. And as you reduce these, the desires, Nishiddha Karma naturally you will not perform, and your mind will be calm, you will be able to perform Niyatam Karma. This is Sannyasa. Sannyasa is where you drop Kamya Karma and shift lanes to Niyatam Karma. So how do you do that? First is set a higher ideal. The intellect must set a higher ideal. Once you expand your mind, then you begin to understand that life is not just about me. It's not just about how much money I can grab. It's not just about how big a home I have, whether I have a private yacht, a private jet, a private everything. Then you're so private you have no company. Life is about stretching to accommodate other people's interests. Just now on my journey to the hall, I was in the company of a young lady who was telling me how her life changed completely when she was exposed to the life that tribals live in, and just 50, 60 kilometers outside Mumbai city. And her life changed completely. The future course of her life has changed. And this is what it's about. Once you set a higher ideal, then the next step is, it's not enough for you to just set the higher ideal. The intellect directs all your activities towards that ideal. The next step. As a result of this, what happens is, you get attached to the higher. The higher ideal preoccupies your mental space. There is no space for the lower. So you get detached from the lower. Because the law is, as you think, so you become. Whatever you think of constantly, you get attached there. What you don't think of, you get detached from. Therefore, the most important aspect in our life to uplift ourselves is the intellect. The intellect is all important. You must develop the intellect, because it's the intellect that does everything. It sets the goal, it directs your actions towards the goal, it helps you to get attached to the higher, as a result of which you get detached from the lower. So without the intellect, it's not possible to evolve spiritually. In fact, it's not possible to even succeed in life. And how many of us have embarked on a program of intellect reinforcement? Most of us are not even aware that there is such a thing called intellect, because all the time we are operating on the mind, likes and dislikes. So to help us, it's not enough just getting exposed to this knowledge here for 5 days. Strengthening